So we're continuing Clark County today. And we're interviewing or having a good conversation here with Commander Larry Patella. Larry, you were just telling us how you went through the ceremony in Hong Kong, you said, area of retiring, and you decided you're going to settle here, which is where your wife has roots in the Portland, Vancouver area.
Yep. So anyway, so we
new chapter.
Yeah. So I came here and went to work for the Port of Portland and.
Doing what?
Well, I started out at Terminal 4 as a superintendent, and about a year later, after I retired there, the port owns and operates a dredge.
Okay, I got a question for you. When you retired after 31 years in the Navy, doesn't that they pay you something? You get a monthly income.
Yeah, I get.
So you could have just said, "Hey, this is my retirement. I put in my years. I'm going to just stay retired." But instead, you decided to go to work.
Right. Yeah.
And why is that? Why did you decide to go to work?
Well, I enjoy being active. I don't think I could. I don't think I could.
You like to be a productive guy.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I went to, and the dredge sunk alongside the pier.
Whoops.
And.
You mean
and
it
of
wasn't
course,
supposed to sink?
everybody that was involved with it got fired.
Okay.
And so they raised it and restored it.
What was why did it sink?
Well, somebody left the pump open. And what happened? Somebody left the pump open.
And it backflowed out.
And the dredge has got what they call spuds on it. And so when the tide went out, and the pump door was open. So when the tide went out, the dredge came down on the spuds. And when the tide came back in, the dredge, of course, was trying to come up, and it got locked on the spuds somehow, and the ship, and it didn't come up with the tide, and the water entered in through the pump hole and into the engine room, and it sunk like a rock.
Oh boy! And
so anyway, so they fired. I guess they fired the key people, and I applied for the job.
Okay, so that was before you got there. That was
that was before I got there.
A great big oops.
I came after they had it ready to go back to work. I applied for the job and I got it and spent 21 years doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
You spent another 21 years. And again, your position was with the port. You were a manager.
I was a manager of the port's navigation division.
And you must have enjoyed it after staying that long.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was great. Again, I had a great group of people working for me, and we became very famous when Mount St. Helens erupted.
Why is that?
Well, because when Mount St. Helens erupted, the river was blocked at Longview. We had about 23 ships stranded in the Portland, Vancouver area. They couldn't get out.
Because of mud flows?
Mud flow, yeah. The river depth at the Longview area in the channel was like 12 feet.
Oh, because there was a river that intersected the Columbia at that point, and all that mud flow and ash just
and it blocked off the river. So we spent about 2 years after that working.
Dredging that out?
Dredging it out. But we had the river open for ship traffic in probably 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, we dug one hole, one side of the channel. We cleared it so it would be deep enough for ships to get out. There was a ports dredge, and then the Corps had 3 smaller dredges, and all working in this one area, and we got it opened up.
Great. So you got the job done. You know how to make light work of it. It sounds like.
So anyway, when I finished, when I was working for the port, I joined an organization called the Western Dredging Association, which covers the Western Hemisphere.
And why would you join that?
Well, because it's involved in dredging, and I was in dredging, and so...
just to share information, just to network?
Well, dredging, that association is an educational association.
Okay.
And we promote the exchange of information that relates to dredging, navigation, and marine engineering and whatnot. so I joined that organization, and I went to a meeting up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I was a new kid on the block, and they needed somebody to be membership chairman. So I said, well, I'll do that. So I became membership chairman, and I gathered up every mailing list I could find of people who were associated with dredging and sent them a free membership. And sent them a letter, told them that, you know, if they like us, I'll send them a bill for next year. And so we start growing, and got a lot of good returns from the free memberships. And a couple of years later, somebody called me up and said, how'd you like to be the president of the organization? And I said, yeah, why not? So I became the president, and then a few years later than that, my predecessor decided that he was going to retire. And so the gentleman who was with the Corps headquarters in Washington, D.C., and was basically the founder of this organization, called me up and said, I want you to take George's place. And I said, okay. And so I took that over, and
so you were heading it up now.
And
you seem to rise to the top in a lot of these situations.
and so now I'm the executive director of the Western Dredging.
You still are.
So I've been doing that for years. So
is that right? And so what does that involve?
It involves putting on basically conferences. We partner with Texas A&M University, which has a very great dredging curriculum, and we put on about a 4-day conference annually, well, for the Western Hemisphere, and then we have I have seven chapters. I got 4 in North America. I got one in Panama, one in Mexico, and one in Rio.
So you must travel.
I do a lot of traveling, and we're also part of a larger organization that.
So you have an active passport, and you've got stamps on that thing.
So anyway, so
how long are you going to stay with that?
Well, as you know, I just talked to the board of director people here recently, and you know, as long as my health holds out, and I feel.
And you're in good health?
I'm in good health, and you know.
And what does your wife think of all this? You like?
Yeah, she's good. She gets to travel with me most of the time.
Oh, that's nice. I bet you she likes that part of that.
Well, for instance, last year we went to we had a conference in Beijing, China. I had one in Rio de Janeiro. We had one in Panama, and one in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and plus we had 4 in North America.
So you were
lesser meetings.
Quite the world traveler.
Yeah. So anyway, and I do most of the negotiating and planning for you know, I negotiate with the resorts or hotels or wherever. We have a small. We have about 50 or 60 exhibitors at our show. We have about 300 to 500 people come to and we exchange a lot of really good information as it relates to dredging.
Do you still get involved or are you aware of the contracts and how the ports will be employing dredging even on the Columbia and the Willamette or?
Yeah, I was very much involved in the deepening of the Columbia River. We started that back in the 80s before I retired from the port. And
deepening from what to what?
Well, the authorized depth was 40 feet. Now the authorized depth is 43 feet. So we deepened the authorized depth another 3 feet. So.
And does that periodically fill up with silt, and you got to go back and
dredge it? It does fill up with silt. So there's some areas of the river that need to be dredged every year, some every other year, some maybe not only every 5 years. But there's dredging that needs to be done in the river.
So you must know a lot about these rivers here, where the channels are, and
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I spent 21 years riding up and down the river, and
have you been on any of those tugs that go up and down the river?
Yeah, I've been on tugs. I've been on the Corps hopper dredges. Corps got 2 hopper dredges here, and And so anyway, but and it's a good you know, and I tell everybody, if we ever stop dredging, their shelves will be empty in about you know, 2 or 3 months, because of, you know, we have such a global economy now that
you need to be able to get those ships up and down there.
Right. So yeah.
So that dredging goes on all the way to the mouth of the river, right?
Oh yeah, it goes all the way south of the river, and yeah, and there's dredging. So it's a.
Now, just looking here, we've got the channel that goes up and down the Columbia River. As it crosses the 5 freeway and through the railroad rotary gate there, there must be 2 channels through there for through the high gate, the high span of the bridge, and through the lift span of the bridge. Are there is any other area under the 5 bridge dredged?
No, no. It's you know, and the 43-foot channel only goes up to the bridge. It doesn't go beyond it.
Oh, okay, and then it drops down to
about 12 feet.
12 feet.
Yeah. Well, that's probably, when I say 12 feet, that's probably the controlling depths. Parts of the river from here up to the Idaho border are probably 12 feet. So about the only thing you can get up there is barges and small boats.
So when you see these tugs going up down the river with the barges, what kind of depth do they need to?
They use 8, maybe 8, 10 feet.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that shallow. So they could pick wherever they want. They can pick the high span or the lift span to be able to go through there. How much does that river go up and down in its water level?
Up in this area, up in our area, about a foot, maybe foot to 2 feet.
That's all?
That's all. Up there, the tidal effect up here is about a foot.
Now, there's different times when the water flow is very swift, and I understand that those vessels, the tugs, they can't negotiate that S-curve to go underneath the high span and then get over to the north side of the river and go through that swing. What do you call that? That railroad swing?
Yeah, the swing bridge. That's a swing bridge. Yeah.
When does that? What time of year is that?
Well, that's about the time of year we are right now, because as soon as with the weather warming up, we're going to have we got a lot of snow in the mountains, and it's going to smelt, and it's going to they're going to start melting, and the river levels will come up, and we've had near floods. Well, we have had near floods a couple of times here, and what happened was during the snow melt, we've had a warm rain, which causes the snow to melt even faster, and probably faster than they can control it. So
even when you have that snow melt, and you got the swift flow, the water still normally stays within a foot or so?
No, the water will come up. We had what was it? About 96, I think. We came within inches of flooding. The Boise Cascade property there. The river was up about 20-some feet.
And maybe going to go over the dike there?
Yeah, go over to the right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, how high, you know, we got a high span on that bridge and a lift span. What is the clearance between the water level and the high span?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's not very much, because we even have to open a bridge for a sailboat with a pretty good, mast.
Yeah, I've seen sailboats go up in there, but I've seen a lot of the commercial traffic go through the high span, and most of the sailboats with all of them with the high span or with the mast have to go through the lift, so that looks like we're
running out of time.
We're running out of time, so we're going to break here, and so that we can go to the next 15-minute increment. If you want to click down to the next link, we can do that.